Thank you, Jen. Yeah. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Again, I want to recognize the protocols that we have here. Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Kingi, His Excellency, the Governor of Kakamega, Fernandez Barasa, the Chair of IGRTC, Bwana Muratha Kinuthia of World Bank, development partners who are here, the commissioners of independent bodies, and all protocols observed. Good morning again. I think for me, I want to be like a politician. When you get a platform, you may want to clear some air. So maybe today, let me try and clear some air. I think we know the government is being formed. There have been pronouncements, particularly at the executive level, where ministers have been nominated or named, and now they're going through the motions of clearance. And notably, I think in the new structure, devolution was very silent. And it raised a lot of speculations, a lot of talk, and saying that this government is, or this administration is sort of going back. Others rejoiced based on misconceptions, saying that, oh, the Ministry of Devolution is not necessary to be doing devolved work, or it is superintending counties. And so those are the two misconceptions that many people were talking about. So the reality is that Ministry of Devolution is going to be around. The name may change a bit, but the functions will be there. The other thing that I just want also to state is that the placement this time will be right, because we all know that the structures of intergovernmental are at the presidency. That is the summit, which is the caucus between governors and the president, is at the presidency. IBEC, which talks about issues of economy, the budgeting and everything, is at the office of the deputy president. So the natural home for devolution then is at the presidency. And I think pronouncement has been made that the deputy president will be responsible for intergovernmental relations, and that is where devolution falls in. So it will continue performing its services, that is encouraging cooperative intergovernmental relations between the national and the county government. That is that is one of our major functions as the Ministry of Devolution. We will also be continue coordinating the implementation of devolution policy. And as we are talking now, we're in the process of developing the second generation policy that will draw from lessons learned in the first 10 years and look at how we can advance devolution in the next era. And our main objective in this era, we're saying, is to accelerate the gains of devolution. The other function will continue to be supporting devolution, the devolved government units, to deliver on the services that were devolved. So, but we're not doing devolution work because the Constitution is very clear. But we support the devolved government units to be able to do their mandates very well. We will also continue to encourage and promote experience sharing, so that when one county is doing very well, we should also encourage others and show cases of best practice in devolution. So again, devolution is there to stay. It will continue providing support, but not carrying out the functions of devolution. I thought I should clear the air, Honorable Speaker. I know in your other capacity, we worked very well. And you saw the kind of programs that we delivered. He has a super hospital that we worked together through KDSP. And I think if there is a legacy, that is what Honorable Amason Kingi has left Kilifi with. So coming to the subject of today, one, I want to state that the Constitution of Kenya 2010 establishes and protects the two levels of government, the national and county governments. It also aligns and protects exclusive and concurrent functions of the two levels of government and provides for a protected system of sharing resources to enable the performance of the said functions. Article 175B of the Constitution provides for county on-source revenue to be raised from taxes such as property, and I think has been enumerated by Dr. Sienga, and any other taxes that are authorized to impose by an act of parliament. This is a key principle of devolution, that revenue is generated at the source and implemented at the source also. A sound revenue system for counties is a critical prerequisite for success of fiscal decentralization in Kenya. Local revenue performance is essential for creating fiscal space for local development needs. Adequate mobilization of on-source revenue is key for improved provision of services, and I think has been alluded to that citizens don't mind paying, but they only want to see that the money that they pay is translating to good services, good development, and improved environment where they're going to enjoy. So this will also lead to increased employment, eradication of poverty, as well as overall achievement of the development goals. Strengthening the OSR mobilization allows county governments to have a greater ownership and control over their own development agenda, and has the potential to foster political and administrative accountability of county officials to their constituents. And I think, as has been said by the chair, is that the focus has mainly been on the transferable revenue, to the detriment of also expanding the on source, so that we can be able to do more as administrations. Based on the report of the Office of the Controller Budget carried out, that is in the year 2020-21, I think, as has been said again, is that the amount collected by counties is way below the potential of what was the target. And now, with the potential having been enumerated, then you're looking at what is being collected is way below 30%, which I think gives us a huge room for a scope to operate from. Over the years, counties have been collecting less than, I think, 30%, as I've said, of their estimated revenue potential. Counties with higher economic diversification collect more on-source revenue compared to counties with lower economic diversification. It is paramount then that counties, to realize their full potential in revenue collection, they need to see how they can expand their macroeconomics or economies. It is important to note that strong revenue systems for counties is critical prerequisite for the success of fiscal decentralization as envisaged in the Constitution. Indeed, adequate and sustained mobilization of on-source revenue is key to improved provision of services, as I have said earlier, increased employment, and also ensuring that we are able to expand or accelerate the development in our countries. So in the current constrained economic situation, globally and locally, on-source revenue growth will caution the country from increasing public debt burden that is currently threatening the fiscal and socio-economic well-being of our country. It is on this note that I urge counties to develop initiatives to expand their resource base so as to enable them handle the huge pending bills which are really affecting the economic development of the counties. And as has been clearly outlined by Ndungu, is that it is on the basis of these ambitious targets or collecting below the potential that now creates the pending bills that we are seeing, because we are approving expenditure beyond what we are able to raise, and also what we are receiving from the shareable revenue. So each county, of course, has its own unique challenges. Studies undertaken in previous periods highlight various challenges facing counties in OSR generation. Key among them is over-reliance on the transfers from the national government, which has led to complacency and an inefficient revenue collection and management system. So these challenges requires clear policy and legislative interventions. Counties require to have a paradigm shift to appreciate that over-dependence on the shareable revenue will continue to cause fiscal stress and in some cases political consequences. I think I don't need to say much on that, because when you promise, when you're coming in and you're not able to deliver, the citizens will also decide and change. So that is where now we need to see how to diversify revenue so that we are able to meet the promises that we give to the citizens. Independence of county governments to determine the level and pace of their local development will depend on the extent to which a county has developed their OSR. Today, we are gathered here then to receive the latest report from CRA on OSR in counties, and I think we've seen the potential that is there. It's based on a study that investigated each county's own revenue potential in order to demonstrate that the leadership, goodwill, and commitment counties can generate, that is, to demonstrate that with leadership, goodwill, and commitment, counties can generate more revenue and accelerate overall development and improve the socio-economic well-being of the citizens. I challenge us all to consider the recommendations in this report as actions that should be immediately mainstreamed into our plans as counties and budgets so as to accelerate performance of devolution in the third cycle. And I think, as I've said, the theme of the third, or actually for us we say the second generation, the second era of devolution is accelerating devolution performance. We've had lessons, we've seen successes, we've seen mistakes, and now we want to see how we can leverage on those successes, as well as also correcting on the mistakes that we've done, so that we can now accelerate in the next era of devolution the performance, so that citizens can enjoy what they intended when they passed the constitution that we have. So specifically, there is need for counties, one, to implement county-specific interventions aligned to their OSR, and I think the chair has actually outlined a number of things that needs to be done. Automation, and then revenue boards where it is necessary, so that you are able to monitor and be able to see the growth in that area. The area of incentives, I think this is something that we will discuss. I know in our new policy that we are developing, that is an area that we are also looking at, so that we can put it as a part of the policy. So monitor, number two, that is on what the counties needs to do. Two is to monitor and assess local revenue performance regularly to assist in designing effective and efficient policies. And three, undertake revenue reforms that enhance OSR to reduce dependence or to complement what are received from the shareable revenue. And number four is that as we do and we move towards improving OSR collection, let's be very careful that it doesn't also affect the ease of doing business. Because when you engage with the private sector, and in my life, I think the moderator forgot to say who I am. My first engagement in government was working on ease of doing business. So whenever I see there is a clawback in that area, I try to speak out. So yes, let's look for more money, but let it not worsen the ease of doing business or increase the cost of doing business, because businesses are what complement the jobs that government is able to generate. And that is where the role of government is just to create a conducive environment for business. So yes, OSR is good, but conducive business environment is also very important. I wish to assure you that the ministry, and in particularly the national government, is committed to continue supporting every initiative that will enable counties achieve their sustainable financial independence through increased OSR. Finally, I want to thank the CRA and its partners including the World Bank, for undertaking the study and preparing this report that we are launching here today. We appreciate and recommend all partners in devolution who have committed themselves and worked with the government to ensure devolution works. Let us remain focused on this noble task. We have built the primary pillars of devolution, but are yet to achieve the full benefits envisaged as in the Constitution. So we are far from attaining the levels of quality of devolved services desired by our citizens, and that's why we need to continue working and focusing on it. It is our mutual calling to ensure that we deliver for the citizens of Kenya. And finally, as I finish, is that we are in the process of developing the second era of devolution policy, and I think already we have started engaging. We have retained the services of some experts, particularly those who have the historical understanding of devolution, and they may have already engaged with you. The focus, as I've said, is one of the focus areas we're looking at is the OSR. And then we also, together with the support from World Bank, we now started what we're calling Devolution Sector Working Group. This is an area, this is a caucus where we bring together all of us in the devolution, counties, national government, development partners, everybody, so that we can now see how do we take devolution, how do we advance it, how do we accelerate the performance, and the thematic areas that we've established under this is focusing on policy implementation and development. We are looking at IGR, that is intergovernmental relations, then issues of planning and budget, where OSR now falls in squarely, and then we are talking about budget execution, particularly to ensure that there is fiscal discipline and in the way we spend, and then issues of coordination and performance measure. How do we have a uniform measure where we are able to gauge all the counties in terms of performance and outcomes? So thank you so much. Again, I want to congratulate CRA for this very great work, and we want to assure that we will continue working together. Thank you so much, and God bless.